Welcome to Bashy's program. It's called Bashy's Corner. We invite guests from all sections of society, discuss with them politics, sports, culture, social indignation. Actually, we make those programs which no mainstream media dares to make or ask the questions. And today, I have invited a very, very special friend and a guest who has been actually, whenever I watched a TV program in many, many years about Somali community in Denmark, Mr. Ahmed Farah Dualeh's name always came up. Now, to me, you have been a strong voice among Somali community, honestly, and a voice of reason for decades. But all of a sudden you disappeared, And I said, when I went to Malaysia and met your friend, Mr. Mark Levin,
yes.
He asked me, where is Dualeh? So I said, I don't know. And then I found you in Örebro on a street. So let me start there. You were, in that time, you were away from Denmark. You were president of Jubaland in Somalia. So how come such a great leap, from being very active in Denmark, in Somali community, and then being president of Jubaland? Please tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this case of me being or becoming the president of Jubaland, it did not come just in all of a sudden.
No.
It is something I have been preparing for since Somalia was invaded by the foreign forces from the neighboring country, Ethiopia, assisted by the United States of America in 2006. That's when I started to think about involving myself into Somali affairs back home. Following that invasion and following the extreme intervention from outside of Somalia, something called federalism came up into Somalia. Somalia was to be cut into small pieces, small banana republics called federal states. Mm-hmm. And that is what I saw as being the destruction of Somalia as a nation, as a whole nation. Yeah. So I wanted to intervene in my own way. And how could I do that? I could sit in Copenhagen and criticize those doing things bad, or I could go there and involve myself and say, I will fight it from inside. Mm. And that's why, having been asked, encouraged by a lot of Somali diaspora, and inside Somalia itself, I prepared it from 2006 to 2009, a kind of constitution for the federal state of Jubaland in Somalia.
Okay.
That was actually to contravene the Balkanization of Somalia. And I told all the people from the north to the south, I am coming. And when I come, I will start from Jubaland from the south and start moving upward. So I need somebody to start from the top, North Somalia, and move southwards. So we could meet somewhere and re-establish the real Somalia.
You use the word intervention.
Yes.
Or intervene.
Yes.
Do you think, I just wanted to ask you, that there are forces behind who want to break Somalia up?
Absolutely. There are forces, and clearly, it's not even a secret. The United States of America, the NATO, the EU, they are using the neighboring countries, Kenya and Ethiopia, to balkanize Somalia, to cut it into pieces and to make it weak.
What would they get out of that?
Well, it is a long story, and we should make a a long program about it. The reason behind it is that Ethiopia has since time immemorial tried to grab Somalia and put it inside, like all the other nationalities which form the Ethiopian nation now. From 1700s, there has been 4 attempts to invade Somalia from Ethiopia. And remember, Somalia is sitting on a golden state. As poor as it looks, Somalia is very rich in oil, in gas, in minerals and so on.
And
look at
strategically located. Yeah.
and the strategical position of it makes it very vulnerable, actually.
So the question is, you went with a noble cause, but you came back.
Yes.
Why?
Because when I was elected on January 29th, 2012, and inaugurated, I made one solemn pledge to the people. I said, I do not want to be one more warlord or one more dictator. I will hold this position only 2 years. In those 2 years, I will try to make a difference and to prepare the ground for younger people to take it over. And I did that.
And you succeeded in that?
And I succeeded in that, yes.
So wasn't it tough to be in the center of Somali politics?
Indeed.
And coming from a peaceful little country like Denmark?
Very much indeed. They say it's cold up there, but it's hot down there. It was very, very difficult, very tough, but still, on the other hand, very giving, really. I did learn a lot of things. I was very well-believing and what we call naive, let me say so.
Okay.
So I learned a lot of things of the
Would
game
you go
politics.
back one day?
Definitely, yes, I will.
Okay. So let's get back to Denmark. When did you come to Denmark first time?
April 23rd, 1967.
So you didn't come as a refugee or migrant?
No, I was a stipendiat. I got a scholarship from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Denmark.
Okay.
It was the Danish Foreign Ministry who
invited
brought
you
me to Denmark from Somalia.
to do what?
Yes, to study. You know, I wrote a letter of application to 19 countries as a 16-year-old boy. And 17 days after, exactly 17 days after, I got a full scholarship from Denmark. And I think that was not just a coincidence. I wrote to my letter, and I got a copy of it from the Foreign Office some years back, to the Minister of Education of the Republic of Denmark. I think that just awoke somebody to say, hey, here is a boy, he doesn't know who we are. Yeah. Let us bring him in. I came in.
Okay. I understand you studied navigation later.
Mm-hmm.
Somalis are very fond of sea, you know, as a sailor. So is it that you studied navigation?
Actually, no.
No.
Somalis are usually nomadic people. Very few are actually at sea.
Okay.
With the longest coast in Africa, we are still nomads. But this was a thing which I wanted to use. Firstly, I wanted to see the world. And I knew that being seaman, a sailor, you would come around the world. And that was a stepping stone. I wanted to see the world, and I wanted to get an education which I could use to jump over to other educations and other possibilities.
So, but did you use your naval education in Denmark?
Yes, I did.
What did you do?
From the day I graduated from Copenhagen Navigation School, I was employed immediately by far the greatest shipping company of the world, A.P. Møller-Mærsk.
All right.
And I served there for about 10 years, actually.
But I also understand that you studied law and have an MBA.
I started.
Why to change from sailing to business?
I told you that being a sailor was a stepping stone to the world. I knew I would not finish my time and my days as a sailor. Okay. I knew it from the very beginning. So my plan was to become a jurist.
A lawyer.
And to study law.
Okay.
Yes.
But then you studied business also.
Yes. Finishing the jurisprudence, I converted it actually and took a specialty in business law. That's why I took MBA also.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just to go into that field.
Okay.
I'm a businessman, born.
Yes. So you are a businessman, and then you are a social worker, politician.
Right.
Somalis, most of Somalis in Denmark came to Denmark after the Civil War.
Yes.
And in Denmark, Somalis unfortunately are presented as the least integrated. How true is this picture, you know?
It is true and a big lie all at the same time.
Okay.
Because, look at me. Do you think I look like difficult to integrate?
No, I don't think so.
No. That is a picture made by the media and especially the politicians of this country. Somalis If you look all around the world, you have seen them in England, the
Yes,
UK,
in America
in the
too.
US, in Canada, in Australia. They are actually the easiest people to integrate. Look at the city of Columbus, Ohio, in the United States, where the mayor in 2004 said, I want only and exclusively Somali refugees. And people asked it why. And he said, they are so easy to integrate and they create something in my society. So that is the problem, is how do we in Denmark act?
It's interesting you say that, because I spoke with Mohammed Gelle, you know, who is also a good friend and very active in Danish politics. He told me that he went to America, actually to Columbus, Ohio, where his sister lives.
Yes.
And his nephews, when he asked them who you are, they said Somali Americans.
Yes.
But his son in Denmark,
Yes.
he said, I'm Danish.
Aha.
So this, you know, that the society tells you to be either this or that,
Yes.
instead a society which said you are accepted as you are.
As you are.
And you are.
And that makes the big difference, actually.
Okay. So when talking of integration, what do you understand by this word? Because you have worked with that, and so I would like to know, what do you think about this word integration?
People mix and misunderstand totally the difference between integration and assimilation.
I see.
Our society in Denmark wants everybody to become a Dane. But how? I am a Danish Somali or Somali Dane.
Yes.
And so will I be all the time, the rest of my life. And I think that is the value of the word people just misinterpret and misunderstand. Integration is when you open your home for me to get the possibility to be part of your society. But if you close your doors and say integrate, how do I integrate? I cannot integrate myself in myself.
You have to be allowed to be.
Yes, I have to be allowed to come in and to show my qualities and qualifications and to contribute to the society on equal partner.
So, in your opinion, what kind of barriers Somali communities are being confronted in the Danish society? Apart from the color.
First of all, the system, this very sophisticated system in Denmark doesn't allow people to be creative when we come from outside. Somalis are business people. They are very creative, right. And they wanted to be free, to be given free hands. Here we put them in one place and we tell them, you have this apartment, you have this CPR number, you have this bank book, I will take care of you, and you have to report to Maria every morning or every 3 days. And they are controlled, and this really controlling system is the main problem for the Somalis, because Somalis are nomadic people. They don't like people controlling them.
But they come here as refugees, so they need some help to start with.
Yes, but when they go to UK, they need also some help. When they go to the United States, they need some help. Help, yes. Put them in a position to create themselves. Help them on the way, but give them the possibility to explore and to do things the way they want to do. That's missing.
When I meet many Somalis, I see young women and young men going to universities, getting higher education. If you go to Copenhagen, in Griffin Fields, they call it Lille Mogadishu.
Yes.
There are shops of all kind. So why this contradiction that they are doing well? And I also know that Somali community is the one which has the most NGOs in Denmark, actually, among any community.
Yes.
But why this contradiction, you know? Danish society says they are not integrated, but actually they are very active.
You know, that's why I initially said it's a big lie.
Okay.
Because it is a fact today in Denmark that Somalis are those producing the most, by far the most academicians. People go in higher education in Denmark, of all the foreigners in Denmark. That is a fact. Schools, universities, gymnasiums, they can all testify that.
Yes.
And yet, they are not integratable. That is this hypocrisy created by the politicians. You remember the days of the parachute on the back and drop them in Africa, and all those crazy things. It's a very, very shameful, actually. I feel it very disturbing because it's a big lie.
Few years back, a fundamental right agency from Vienna, they made a survey in Europe and also in Denmark and asked different groups, Turks and Somalis, how they feel. And 87% Somalis in Denmark felt discriminated. This is a very high number.
Yes, and it's a fact.
It's a fact.
Ask me. You know, when people ask me, have you ever been discriminated in Denmark? That's a very weak question. Why not? What makes Danish people better than all others? Of course you discriminate people.
Is it because of religion, culture, color?
There is a religion, there is a culture, there is a color, but the worst of it is, for the Somalis specifically, the color and the religion. Somalis are Muslims, and you touch their religion, you touch a very hard point, and you have a problem. That is the problem. The main problem for the Somalis is for their not outspoken religiosity, where they do not allow anybody of any nationality to just trump on their religion. That's a big problem.
So if Danish society and the system accept them as Muslims, so that will create less problem?
Absolutely. What we need, I actually, to be honest, I do not feel all that bad thing from the Danish society as such. The problem is the political system, the politicians and the media, who are all the time firing this religion, anti-Islamophobia, all these problems. You know, when you talk face to face to the Dane, Peter Jensen or Hans Hansen or Maria, they have no problem mostly.
Very lovely people.
Usually.
Yes.
They are lovely people. They are very accepting and very normal. The problem is not the people, the population. The problem is the politicians.
Talking about politician or politics, if you look at the political landscape in Denmark, you find Turks, Pakistanis, other groups who have been member of parliament, who are very active Iranians. But I don't see Somalis very active. Even you don't.
Yes.
You haven't been.
It is true, and it is a painful thing. But remember, whether we like it or not, the discrimination, the Danish discrimination, color discrimination is so fine that it's very difficult to see it. I was the sole candidate of a political party in the entire northern Jutland.
Okay.
And just to illustrate how bad this thing is, I was not allowed one single time to participate the TV debates, and I was the prime candidate of a party. That illustrates everything. That says everything.
Was it Social Democratic Party?
No, it was another party.
Okay, well, we won't name that anyway.
Yes.
So even if that they chose you as a prime candidate, but they will not allow you to...
No, I tried everything I could, TV2, Danmarks Radio, and so on. And no one single debate was I allowed, even though I was the prime candidate of the Northern Jutland.
So you were disheartened?
What should I decide? I could not decide anything. I said, well, I try, but you know, when you are not known, when you do not show your face to the people in a campaign, political campaign, how can people elect you?
You have to be known.
Yes, you have to be known. You have to tell people your programs. Yes. You have to tell your policy paper. You have to show what you are going to do, what you are able to do, and then the people can make their mind. But I had no chance.
You know that we have Enhedslisten, which is Red-Green Alliance.
Yes.
They had 40 candidates they
Yes.
fielded in this last parliamentary election.
Yes.
There was not one person of color. And they
That
are
says everything.
supposed to be the friendly party.
But that says everything, doesn't? It's very clear.
Okay.
You cannot do it. I tried and tried and tried, and I came to the conclusion that this thing is maybe impossible. Maybe our grandchildren will have any chance.
Okay. Now I want to ask you something entirely different. Maybe it's a little bit painful because we talked about religion, Somali people being Muslims, you know.
Yes.
I also see among Somalis a religious revival of a very different type.
Yes.
Not that they are religious, but I see small girls with headscarves, you know,
Yes.
men with long dresses. Is this becoming a bigger issue now?
This is becoming a bigger issue because of two specific things.
Please.
Firstly, because they feel they lost everything they had. When humans lose everything, at the worst, the despair of their life, what can they grab and hold? Religion.
So it's an identity now.
It's their identity now.
Okay.
That's the only thing left for them. But there is also another thing to this. There is a very huge input or influence from the outside. You know, this girls having all this cover-up and so on is not typical Somali.
No, I know. That's what I was
but this is something new.
Yes.
Because people feel that every door has been closed for them. They have lost even, or nations, politicians, institutions are trying to make them lose the last of their identity. So they say, this is something nobody can take from me. My religion, you cannot remove from my mind. And they are grabbing and holding it.
So if I am forthright, I understand there's a lot of Saudi influence.
A lot of Saudi influence, a lot of Kuwaiti influence, a lot of influence from the Gulf as such.
Yes.
And that's both good and bad, because there is a lot of bad things coming from that side also. Let's take the problem of Al-Shabaab, this terror organization. Who is Al-Shabaab? Al-Shabaab is not a Somali organization. Al-Shabaab is an organization armed, funded, run from the outside. And let me tell you one thing. Al-Shabaab is not only from the Arab countries. Al-Shabaab is funded and armed from the neighboring country, Ethiopia, who is the representative of the United States of America. That's a fact. We know it.
When you meet Somalis, you know, you have a large network. Do you speak with them about issues that Somalis are facing?
Yes, I do. The day before yesterday, we had a very large conference in Copenhagen.
Okay.
And we invited a lot of foreign representatives. The highest ranking was the ambassador of Turkey, who was there and held a speech. And there we put together 12 Somali doctors, all working in Danish hospitals, 35 nurses, and so on. A large group of highly educated Somalis who our political system would call impossible to integrate. That's the hypocrisy of the whole thing. And yes, we are really talking about these things, these issues, and we are writing a lot about it. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, I cannot come up with it, and I hope this will give me a possibility.
I hope so too, and I am sure that your coming generations one day will be standing with somebody else and talking about their experiences. Ahmed, it's always a pleasure knowing you and talking to you, and I hope that, and I'm sure that our viewers have learned a lot about Somali community, what Mr. Dualeh has told. Until next time, thank you very, very much.
Thanks to you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Definitely.
So we can even go farther into explain these things, because 20 minutes is much too short to tell all the things I feel.
One day we'll talk about something else.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much, and until next time.